Okay, so I think this is working. My name's Sean McLaughlin. I'm a volunteer with Latrobe Youth Space, social worker by trade. Danica DeCirio, one of the fantastic workers at Latrobe Youth Space, has asked me to have a bit of a word about empathy in relation to respectful relationships, and a lot of the pieces on that we're doing about respectful relationships. Of course, doing this as a Facebook Live rather than doing it face to face and seeing people, because we're up to who knows what week of the COVID-19. Hi Lara, how are you? We're up to, I don't know, I've lost count. Funny enough, had the swabs up the nose, without getting graphic, people, had the swabs up the nose. Feel empathy for me. Had the swabs up the nose to have the COVID-19 test, not because I'm unwell, but the state government's having this huge push at the moment to up our testing rates. So fully recommend it. It's not that bad. It's a bit of discomfort, but it lets us know in the community that I may have COVID-19, but I may not have any symptoms. But it might be good. It's not that bad, Lara. It's a little bit of discomfort. They have one swab that just rubs for 10 seconds at the back of your throat, which you don't even really feel, and the next swab that they have is in one nose, and they kind of get around your septum, and it's 10 seconds there, and before you know it, it's 10 seconds in the other one, and it wasn't so bad. And the nurse that I had, because I did it at work, I work at a hospital, and so the nurse I knew, she nearly made me laugh halfway between nostrils. So that was the most uncomfortable bit. So it wasn't too bad. A little bit of watery eye, but it's over in a jiffy. But of course, up to people. So yeah, look, I'm hoping everyone's keeping well, keeping motivated, keeping engaged with a lot of the great stuff that I don't know how they will be doing it to my 4-year-old and 2-year-old. It's a little bit. I find nurses and doctors have their tricks with kids, and they relax them, and they make it more of a bit of a game. But I must say, I'm with you, Lara. I'm not too sure how they would do it for a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old. Perhaps. If anyone's out there who is a nurse or a doctor, or maybe, I'll tell you what I'll do when I go to work tomorrow, I'll ask around some people that I know and see. That's a good question. And especially we've got our young parents group that normally runs at Latrobe Youth Space, and so that might be a question for our folk. Okay, so wanted to have a bit of a chat about empathy. As a bit of a starting point, empathy is very different to sympathy. Sympathy would be something that just say I had a friend, hypothetically, I had a friend whose, say, grandmother passed away. And I would go and find them and say, hey, my sympathies. I feel sorrow for your loss. I might give them a sympathy card. I might say, look, I'm really sorry that you've lost your grandmother. I might say a lot of those things to just give support and recognise their loss. It's very different to empathy. Empathy is more about feeling. I think. It's more about feeling. It's about saying, look, I don't know how that feels, but I'm here to support you. I haven't got the solutions to your issue, but I'm here to do what I can. And so it has a very big bit of difference, empathy, in that way. One of the a bit of a social work hero of mine. She does fantastic stuff on YouTube, some really great books as well. If you come across one of her books, but catch her on YouTube. She had a special on Netflix that might still be doing the circulation on Netflix. Brene Brown. She does a lot of stuff on shame and how people try to use shame as a motivator. You know, the sort of thing like, oh, look, when your boss comes to you and says, look, I've had a lot of people coming up to me and you know, making comments that they're not happy that you've got a beard. Now, it may not be the case. It may be they just don't like me having a beard. But it's that thought of that there's people out there uses shame as a motivator. That's a discussion for another day. But I really like the way if you put in Brene Brown empathy into YouTube, there's a really great animated clip where she talks about empathy. And she uses this really beautiful imagery that empathy, it's like climbing down into the hole. And so you've got a friend or someone and there's a ladder and they're down in the hole. And they're saying, they're looking up and they're going, I'm here in the hole. And you're climbing down that ladder with them. Just to stand there in the hole with them. And it could be anything. It could be, I've lost my grandmother. And, you know, it's the person saying, look, I don't know what to say. I don't know what that could possibly be like. I've never had that happen. But I'm here. And I'm here to do whatever I can. I'm giving you empathy. Brene Brown also talks about empathy empathy never starts with well, at least you had a grandmother. Well, at least you know what it was like to be loved. Well, at least she lived to this age. Well, at least she was 96. You know, that's something. It's never with that at least comments. And it's never with the, well, this happened to me. I lost my grandmother. And it's never, well, I've lost these many people. It's never competitive. And when we get to I suppose the center of that, what does that mean? Why wouldn't those things be empathic? Well, because they're not empowering. They're very much taking away that emotion and that loss and that feeling that those folk that we've climbed down into the hole to support. We're saying your feelings don't matter. It's time to listen to me. When we start this happened to me and my grandmother and my aunt and, you know, my mum's cat or whatever, that is that's not empathic. When we say, well, at least you can, it discounts the feeling. We all have individual feelings and we all feel different things, and we've all had different journeys that we've been on in life, and things mean different things to us. And so it's not a great thing to kind of discount what people are saying. So, you know, it's sitting down, it's standing down there in the hole. We've climbed down the ladder, we're standing there, we don't know what to do, we don't have solutions. And really, Brene Brown doesn't talk about this, but let's talk about this. It's not empathic to just throw solutions at somebody. It could be, I don't know what to do in my job. I don't know what to do. Let's pick this scenario hypothetically. I don't know if I should leave my partner. And the worst thing that you can do is say, well, let me try and fix this right now. Because sometimes people just don't want to be fixed. They just want to be listened to. So you can't say, well, have you thought about, because that's another thing that empathy never is connected to. Have you thought about going to a marriage counsellor? Have you thought about going and seeing different people? Have you thought about it? It doesn't go with, I'm just here to listen, and I'm just here to be here in this moment with you and be supportive. The other thing that I think is really great about empathy is the listening. Respectful listening, active listening. If you don't know something in the story that the person is telling, ask. When they mention somebody and you don't know who that is, you go, sorry, who was that person that you mentioned? Oh, that's who that person was. No, that's good to know. Thank you. Please continue. So being respectful. It's also really great to, hey Jazika. It's also really great to, when you're doing that listening, if something has meaning, because we all have meaning in life, ask what does that mean? If you're saying that it's really upsetting and makes me angry, what does angry look like? Why what does that happen? Why? And not being, I suppose, intrusive and overly inquisitive, but just so you know. And sometimes just to make sure that you're along the story, ask, have I got that right that this happened? Okay, right. So I'm here. I'm part of this. Okay, I'm down the hole. I'm down the ladder. Another part of listening, I think, is silence. Active listening isn't, hey Joni, what's going on? Another part of listening, as I was saying, is silence. It doesn't have to be to be there. You don't have to keep on going on and interrupting all the time. You can just, sometimes it's really important just to shut up. Hey, and just listen, and just really, silence. Sometimes silence needs to be filled. We're funny as humans, and I'd encourage you to try this the next time that you're sitting and having a conversation with a friend or a family member or somebody that you're talking to. Just don't say anything. See how hard that is? Like I'm literally like, I've got to say something, because we need to fill that void. And sometimes, when, come on Oscar, if you need to hop up. Sorry, cat's just roaming around here. Sometimes when you say, hey, I've been noticing things aren't too great. What's going on? And I don't know. And that's the worst point to jump in and go, oh, that's okay. But the empathic person just is patient, and the empathic person just waits. I find if also in amongst that, as I said, if you don't know, ask. And just to wrap up, and sorry, just to summarise, if you don't know, ask, use silence, use respectful and active listening. Hey, Jess, what's going on? And as I said, empathy never starts with the, well, at least, if someone loses a baby, well, at least you could get pregnant. If someone, as I used an example before, lost a grandmother, well, at least you had a grandmother. Like there is nothing so disempowering and just we'll just shut someone down, and we'll make them just bottle up feelings more than that. Hey, Tay Tay. Yeah. So look, just to wrap up, really, really quick, unless there's any questions and anyone has anything that they want to discuss. Empathy is different to sympathy in that it's, rather than saying I feel sorry for, I understand your loss, you would not think not saying things that would be common sense. You would think that not saying things like that would be common sense. Good point, Danica. But sometimes I'm sure that we've all seen someone do that, or we've all had it done to ourselves. That that people just think, well, that's happened to that person, it's going to be the same for you. And well, it's kind of like, I often think of the person who does the, when you say, look, I don't know, what's an example? My dog died. And they go, well, let me tell you about my dog. And, well, this happened to my dog. And they go on in this story about how you should learn by example almost, that they're Jesus up on the mount telling a parable. And you think to yourself, how can this person be so insensitive? But I think deep down they think that they're helping. But it's not really been effective. Whereas being empathic, it can be seen as being effective, because it's really that emotional connection and that helping. Yeah. So fully recommend Brene Brown. She's hilarious. As I said, type in Brene Brown empathy, and there's this really cool little animation of actually we used it in a training with Youth Space earlier in the year, late last year, I think. Has two cute little deer. A bear? Is it a bear? It's a bear and some other animal. Anyway, I digress. So it's also, as we were saying before, empathy never starts with the well, at least, or it never starts with the, what other ones are there? Well, at least, this happened to, that sort of thing. Yeah. It's never disempowering. Yeah. Any other questions? We were having a bit of a talk before about the COVID-19 test that was just up my nose earlier today. Quite good fun. Not really. But if you are thinking of doing it, I fully recommend it. That's... Jess just sent me a message. Sorry, I had to leave. Apparently she's going to get pizza because I put her in the mood for pizza. About to make pizza. Yeah. And also empathy, just a note to finish up on. Empathy is not about fixing. Sometimes we just can't be fixed. And that's okay. We're okay. We're us as people are complex. And sometimes bad things happen. And sometimes we go, it's not that I want to be fixed. I just want someone to listen to me, just unload this and get it out and talk through this in my head and not be interrupted while it's going on, and not be sent off on a tangent, and not be told that my feelings don't matter. So that's okay. All right, we might wrap it up there, but one thing that I just wanted to say, we've talked some hefty stuff tonight. We had a bit of a discussion about things like grandparents passing away and pets and things like that. And sometimes inadvertently, these things can bring up emotions for people. What I would recommend is get support, contact La Trobe Youth Space if any of the things that we've spoken about tonight do bring up some feelings. Be mindful if you think that that might happen. Contact Lifeline if needed. They're always a good support, and they're always 24 hours. Stay safe. A mate of mine, Nicole, who works for Centrelink, she finishes off her emails with "Stay sanitized." I reckon that's got to be a bumper sticker. Hashtag stay sanitized. But yeah, stay safe. No, thank you, Danica. And yeah, bye for now. Okay. Toodaloo.